Currants are the sure sign that summer is here at last. I have black currants and white currants in my garden, and last week's heat wave has almost made an end to the white ones. So I need to do something with them quickly, and I decided to bake a currant cake. But the black ones really thrived due to lots of rain in spring and the heat of last week. But let me begin with the white currant cake. And by the way, if you have red currants, those work just as well. Currants are quite tart, and the secret of this cake is not to sweeten them, but to leave them as they are and combine them with a layer of meringue. You shouldn't put this cake in the freezer, but you probably won't have to anyway, because it's so good. It'll be gone in no time. For a whole sheet, you need 8 eggs, which sounds a lot, but most of it is for the meringue. And there will be 4 egg yolks left over that you can use for something else. I was going to make custard with them, but you will see why I didn't in the end. The meringue topping is easy to make, but the eggs you're using should be as fresh as possible. And if you have a choice, you should take eggs from chickens that haven't been fed with too much fish meal, because that can give your topping a weird taste. I took spelt flour for the base, but all-purpose flour works just as well. And I took unrefined sugar, but if you prefer white sugar, that's fine. So here you can see me doing something you should never do. I cracked the egg right into the bowl. And then I noticed that it didn't look very good and didn't smell quite right either. Fortunately, it wasn't completely rotten, and I had only mixed butter and sugar, so I could wash it off. But this could easily have gone wrong completely. And also, this meant I was lacking 1 egg. I tried substituting it with a little more milk, and fortunately that worked. Currants were banned from the USA until fairly recently because they host a fungus that affects the white pine. And so currants were an economic risk, but they have now been legalized in many states. And it's great to hear that, because they are so easy to grow. They carry fruit reliably, even under harsh conditions, which is why they're so popular in Northern Europe. And in addition to that, they come with a lot of health benefits. The black ones especially are incredibly rich in vitamin C. They have much more of it than citrus fruit, for example. I made another currant video last year where I showed 3 things that I like to do with black currants. You can find it on my channel page if you're interested. The cake has a sponge base, which I like in summer because it's so light and airy, but there also exists a short crust version of it. Whichever you choose, you should make it really thin, because the cake is supposed to be juicy and dominated by the fruit. I used to think this cake was kind of difficult, but it really isn't. You just bake the base for 15 minutes, then add the fruit and the beaten eggs, and bake for another 20 minutes. And that's it. After the heat wave, we are back to our default summer weather, which means it's raining again. But what could be nicer than a piece of cake on a rainy afternoon? I had planned to make the custard with the 4 leftover egg yolks, but I decided they weren't fresh enough. And so I didn't do that, but after the rain ended, I went to harvest some black currants, together with some strawberries, and cook a really simple old-fashioned blackcurrant dessert. You just throw in all the dark berries that you can find in your garden, such as strawberries, currants, cherries, which aren't berries of course, raspberries, blackberries if you have any. Then you cook a bit of tapioca in some dark fruit juice until it dissolves. Then you add the fruit and some sugar. Cook again for a bit and then let it cool off. This pudding will keep for a few days in the fridge. And of course you could can it. It's great with vanilla ice cream or pudding, or with a custard that I didn't get to make.